Oh man, you guys should have heard the would you rather's Kent was coming up last night. Like diabolical stuff.
It wasn't. He thinks it was. It wasn't.
yeah. Well, what's weird is the stuff that Kent would never do ever in a million years is also just kind of like,
like,
well, whatever.
Like, let's boil this down for the kind listener. So Kent likes to throw out, would you do a single thing? And it's not, morally compromising or reprehensible in any way. It's just,
it's usually just gross. Usually it's just
gross. Like 7-year-old gross, not like, dark side of the internet gross or anything like that. But so it's like a single thing for $1 million or $1 billion. And Nicolas and I both came to the conclusion that there's not anything we're not going to take a crack at for $1 million.
Yeah. Actually, the number for me is the amount of debt I have. Because if you don't actually pay off the debt, and let's say you pay off 3/4 of my debt, well, for the next 5 years or whatever, I still have the same payments I would have had every month. So it doesn't actually change my life. So if you ask me to do something terrible, it's got to pay off my debt. You know what I mean? Which, let's be clear, is well under $1 million.
I got a pretty stern talking to from Nicolas about, like, do you actually know how far $1 million goes? I'm like, it's money I don't have, so it's in consideration. Thanks very much.
Well, some people would be like, I'd retire $1 million. No, sir. Unless you live off of $50,000 a year, because your dividends are going to be $80,000 a year, and from that $80,000, you're going to get taxed 40%.
Yep.
And so you end up with $40,000 and some change.
You sound like that prison guard from Shawshank Redemption right now.
Oh, what is his name? Andy Dufresne.
No, not Andy. The mean prison guard who inherits money, and he's complaining about, he's just going to buy a car, and then I got to take the kids for a ride, and then I got to go out and enjoy my, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but that prison guard beats up the other dude later in the...
We're not talking about that portion of it.
Okay, all right.
It's a great movie. Go watch it.
The thing is, though, like 40 grand is like retirement for... I'm like 90% there. That's like the only case it really makes sense. You got to be like, your house has to be paid off. You have to be like, I'm not ever going to buy a new car again. I'm just going to.
Yeah. $40,000. If you don't have any debt and you don't have any huge payments, it goes pretty far.
Let's be real. For doing one stupid Fear Factor-esque act, like, I don't care what it's gonna get taxed and what this and that and the other thing. I'm gonna drink a glass of worms and get $40,000. I don't care about the government's involvement. Just give me whatever's left over.
Man, well, if you couldn't tell, Kent's not here today. Kent really doesn't do well if he's worked 4 hours a day a couple days in a row.
I tell you what. So Kent, we went through this all weekend long. The poor guy suffers from a terrible, terrible, debilitating case of plantar fasciitis. And so we went over. There was a booth there at Pheasant Fest where they had these really nice custom insoles. And the guy was explaining how he had this program where they had to talk with Apple about their hardware and get access to the LiDAR and to be able to scan the bottom of a person's foot to produce a pretty cool insole, custom insole. Well, they said, all right, well, let's do the scan. So Kent sat down and stuck his booted foot out, and they were like, no, you're going to have to take your boot off. And so Kent slowly took his boot off and sat there, and we were kind of conversational. And they said, no, Kent, you're gonna have to take your sock off too. And Kent was kind of like, okay. So he took his sock off, and then they were like, well, Kent, we don't usually encounter this, but we need you to take that second sock off. And, and Kent was like, no, I'm sorry. That's just the filamentous element to my toe fungus. So I don't think he got an accurate read on those insoles. Sorry, Kent.
The LiDAR wasn't truly the bottom of the foot. It was
just a fuzzy, nebulous,
just
foot-shaped object.
like a topographical map.
Yep, a fuzzy nebulous. Oh man, that's funny. I think that's not true, but I don't want an answer.
You can pick and choose what is.
Man, honestly, if anybody's going to take any financial advice from anybody, you all just need to listen to Riley. Whatever he does,
please do.
I got a little bit of hate on. I said $100,000 wouldn't change my life, and the comments on the reels.
Yeah,
people did not like that.
I don't think. I mean, how $100,000 just wouldn't change your life? Well, I could buy a boat and a UTV. And well, I don't know. Like it doesn't actually. Like it's probably not going to pay off your house. Maybe it does.
Might change your weekend, but
yeah,
not
it might
life.
change your next year and a half. But if your habits don't change, your life won't be changed by
more money, more problems, right?
Yeah. If you have $1 billion, you couldn't outspend the $1 billion.
Not
But
a chance.
100,000 or even $1 million,
Kent
you can
throws
outspend
eat a glass of worms for $1 billion at me. That stuff's going down fast.
it. Yeah.
Where's the worms?
Yeah.
Man, we had a really great time at Pheasant Fest.
Yeah.
Judd and I did, at least. Riley was here actually doing some work.
He was probably having
I was getting
time.
all your lovely orders ready, sending these emails. It was good.
Man, people were ordering stuff while we were at Pheasant Fest, and so poor Judd. It was like 9:15 at night. I was like, Judd, we got to answer these emails. So we got 50 acres. And Ken was like, you know that scene from The Office where Michael and Dwight and Jim are having a pretend like sale, and Jim goes, and Jim's like a pretend guy, and he's like, I'll buy $1 million worth of paper, but you got to let Dwight go. And Dwight's like, no, Michael, no. And Michael just leans over, it's $1 million sale, Dwight. Kent was like in bed watching us work, and he's like, but it's a 50-acre sale, guys. I felt so stupid. I was like, well, yeah. Man, this is not everyone, but we didn't even have our name on the registry because we signed up so late.
Yep.
But some people found us. Travis, Jake, Jace, Jacob, Jason, Zach, Jimmy, Eli, Karen, Eleanor, Ashley, Scott, Seth, John, Doug, another Doug, Tom, Canute. I'm saying that right?
Yep.
Canute.
Canute.
Man, Canute. That was an awesome name and an awesome human to encounter.
Don't forget Alec. You brought his whole family by.
Alec, yeah. Good to chat with him.
Yep.
And Juan, Katie. There was another Doug, of course. 3 more Dougs in there, probably.
Like 5 or 6, I think, total.
But, I mean, and there were a bunch more. I literally, like, before the episode, was like, quick, write down the names we can remember.
And there were so many people that just blew through while Nick and Kent were there, and they were like, I don't recognize you, but the podcast is great, and I don't want to talk to you, so bye.
Yeah. Oh, about you mean? Yeah. No, it was good. Well, so Judd is normally here, like, close to weekends, if he's here at all, coming from Illinois. And we do coffee times Monday or Tuesday. So got a chance. But anyway, we loved hanging out with y'all. We really appreciate that. That was really cool. And like, I get really insecure when people say, I have listened to like some odd amount of hours of you talking. I like was coping.
Lay it on thick, because Kent just loves to watch him squirm when that happens. All eyes are on Nicolas as he's getting those compliments.
I think Kent's just used to seeing me like try to be confident. And so that was not one of those times. Yeah. Well, we should get started.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Prairie Farm Podcast, Coffee Time Wednesday. I'm your favorite host, Nicholas Lirio. Favorite co-host today, Riley Rosendahl.
Oh, promotion. Mini promotion.
Well, mini promotion. Yes.
And I'm not taking any titles. I'm just here for now.
Co-host
Judd
to the
McCullum.
coast, sub-in co-host. You know what I mean? You guys following that the elderly lady that was kidnapped? The like
My
what's her
wife
name's
is.
grandma?
I've seen Cliff Notes.
Oh, okay. I just because she's not on the show right now. Is it Good Morning America? Is that I really haven't followed it. Someone was a friend of mine. She was very excited about it. Was giving me all the details. And I think I just proved I was a terrible listener because I got all of the details. I can't remember any of them. Nobody's name, nothing. But Kent's kind of like that right now, where he's not on the show, and so we got the Judster, Judd Dolomew, if you will.
Yep.
We have kind of a huge topic today. Any of you guys know? Yeah, Judd knows what we're talking about. Riley, you know what we're talking about?
Zero clue.
I know what the title of this stack of papers is, but I don't know anything inside of it.
All right. It's got a couple different names. We've talked about it literally about 100 times on this podcast. One of these should have dropped when we first started the podcast almost 4 years ago. Now we're finally getting some things addressed on here. It is the Farm Bill. They're talking about the Farm Bill. We are recording today on a Monday. right now they're supposed to be having the markup time. Problem is there was a giant dump of snow, blizzard, and DC.
They're all
so a lot of it's
hot
postponed.
chocolate and
So they're
not doing their jobs.
Yep. But it was an 800-page cleanup bill, basically. A lot of the farm bill was actually in the big, beautiful bill. And there were a lot of things left to the wayside, specifically conservation efforts. And because of that, a lot of conservation efforts are mentioned in this cleanup bill. We're going to go through thing by thing that I felt like was relevant. There were literally like 50 things, and I was like, there's probably 7-ish that felt very relevant.
So this has been proposed.
Yes,
and
it's going into the House committee has proposed it, and they are going to go into what I guess is called the markup period.
Yeah.
And then they go into debate. It goes to the floor and it gets debated, is my understanding.
I'd heard some rumblings about it, but yeah.
Yep. Some burpings. All right.
Yep.
First and foremost, it's technically called Farm Food and National Security Act of 2026, which a tough thing to loop in national security with farm and food, but I suppose that's what they're doing to get things passed, which I hate. I just hate that.
Lumping it in.
The lump in and then every senator or House rep says, well, I want this for my constituents in Kentucky, and then we're paying for stuff in Kentucky, and people in Kentucky are paying stuff for us. And that's not the issue. Is not the sharing thing. That doesn't bother me as much. It's just everyone's fighting for more money, and we've created a system where we create these behemoths, absolute behemoths. So this was probably my favorite part, the Precise Act, or Precision Conservation, as it's worded in the bill. Similar precision ag. They say we should measure this on a very specific scale. I don't know what you guys think. I think this is good. I think data points that conservation is good. So more data having light on it will be a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think a lot of people in conservation, I think we had a good idea of what was like set aside land, right? In the original programs back in the 80s, but the technology has come so far for us to be able to determine what's inundated with water. I think that ties into it. There's more precision. You have a more precise idea of maybe where your marginal acres are than you might have used to.
Yeah. I mean, we've been saying that for years on the pod.
Yeah.
Like, look, your combine knows where you're making money and where you're losing money.
Yeah.
That's that $1 billion technology knows.
Yeah.
It just hasn't become popular to put grasslands on those acres because that is less money for those companies that actually collect the data.
Yep.
Judd, you think it's good or bad that we're tracking the data so closely?
I think it's good that we're tracking data closely.
What are the odds that the data is reported neutrally and correctly without some sort of spin on it? Because you can make data
if it
feel like it says anything.
If it doesn't have a spin on it, even if it is neutral or doesn't go in our favor, at least we have points to work off of. We have an idea of where we go from there. It's a compass direction. So you can't work off guesses.
I'd be bummed, and we would definitely shut down Hoksey Native Seeds if this happened. But if all the data came out, and it was very clear that corn on the ground and prairie being ripped up has nothing to do with ecological issues or nitrates in the water or any of that stuff, I'd be happy to hear that, and I'd close it down, and I'd say, I guess we were fighting the wrong fight, and we were wrong the whole time. But all of the data we have so far says, well, the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's just easy. It's so easy for politicians
to not know what they're actually talking about.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not wrong.
That's true. I was thinking more like I took a political science stats class.
Yeah.
Basically learning that you can make stats say about whatever you want, just depending on your phrasing, and it'd be correct.
Nicholas, you gave a perfect analogy to this earlier in this very podcast where you're talking about the missing mom or grandma or whoever that is, and you got the full rundown of it from your friend who would have played the part of, say, a lobbyist. And you're the politician, and you came on here and said, somebody's missing, and I don't know who, but we're talking about it. So
we're going to solve the problem.
Decrepit brain. So, there's a lot of money. So this is the next thing, the ARACI Act. The Advanced Research on Agricultural Climate Impacts. This is part of the overall precision conservation. If the government is going to pay for regenerative practices, they want the data that proves it, specifically with carbon things. and actually I had a really great conversation with someone about carbon credits. They work for a carbon credit company, middleman company. They seemed very nice. And I said, hey, what's up with Bill Gates being like, hey, carbon credits are the thing. And like a few months ago, he was like, doesn't matter, or negligible difference or whatever. And I asked her, and she was like, I don't keep track of Bill Gates. I was like, man, that was a perfect answer. That was like, but I wonder if that has any spark. It's got some more traction in the news. So they'll be keeping track of that. This is a little off topic, but the Save the Bacon provision 12 override basically says it has language to explicitly stop one state from dictating agricultural practices to another state. You remember how California was like, hey, we want certain size pens for the pigs? That would basically bring an end to that. What do we think?
I don't think blanket regulation is good for anybody. I'm all for, animal welfare and best practices, but places are different. Things work differently. If California wants to, have their pigs have a little more leg room before they get eaten, then I guess that's fine. That's not for another state to dictate.
Well, but then Iowa, just me playing devil advocate, feels like California is dictating them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Yep. Riley?
Well, I think we got to be careful. We have to understand that infrastructure has been built one way to, here in Iowa and other states. At the same time, I don't want the government telling me what I can and can't do, what I don't do and don't take as a product.
Yeah.
Anytime that a law is passed that says, well, if you want your jeans, you got to buy them this way. This is the way that it's convenient for whoever.
Yeah.
It's overreach in my
Everybody
opinion.
wears skinny jeans because
Yeah. I think it just locks in. And the downside is too big. It's bigger than the upside.
Yeah. It's easy to vilify those people that have confined animal operations. It really is. But in the end, they're farmers trying to make a living. They've got those big barns that they have to build to spec for, Tyson or whoever's shipping those hogs in. And, a lot of those guys, they're turning over millions of dollars, but they're netting a razor thin margin.
Yeah.
And to have to go in when you might be within years of paying off that hog barn and after doing all that hard work to actually start seeing a return on it, to then have to go in and revamp the whole thing and make more spacious stalls and reduce, what you're putting out.
Yeah.
It's just going to ruin the hog market.
Yeah.
So
Plain and simple.
So economies of scale. It's kind of a buzzword right now. It makes sense. Here's what I don't like about farming. Economies of scale should say that you can make more money. It should not say that you have to be economies of scale to make any money. That's what CAFOs do.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have 12 million hogs flowing through here every year?
Yep.
Well, if you have 12 million, you'll make a decent living. You'll make $60,000, $80,000 a year. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe.
But if not, it's a race to the bottom. I don't like it. The middlemen are in control. The packing houses, the places where people get groceries.
And let me be clear. I'd like it to be regulated, and I would like people just to be honest enough that we could sell pork to our neighbors without having to worry about, communicable diseases or maybe poor living conditions or whatever that the FDA or USDA has to get in the middle of to keep you from selling to your friend or whatever. It's just, that's the answer. We're getting to the bottom of where people can just have person to person commerce or sell meat retail. It's ridiculous, and that's the reason we have these CAFOs. That's the whole reason we have.
Why?
Those.
Because regulation.
It's so siloed. Yeah, it's just so much easier if you're going to have the livestock and jump through the hoops. Why not do it to an insanely huge scale?
You have to do it to an insanely huge scale just to break even.
Yeah.
It's another economies of scale thing where the margins are the margins.
It almost seems like it's by design.
I think that the farmers are definitely not majority at fault, but if a civil is and the buyers are not mostly at fault.
Yep.
But at some point, society as a whole has to step up and say, "This is our problem and our mess, and we created it." We had a part to play in it. I'm with you, Judd. I don't think the blanket regulation, whether it's from California telling Iowa what to do, or from the federal place telling California they have to buy certain meats or can't ban certain meats, it should be you at your house, and paying for what you want.
Yep.
That's what I think. Now there's another argument that having USDA employees doing the checklist, like one employee having all the know-how they need and going from site to site, making sure the pork and beef are high enough quality. That probably is good for our economy instead of you having to do it and then me having to do it and then Riley having to do it, right? So I'm not saying there's no benefit to it, but I do think that's why I like quote unquote third-party certifications. And actually I ran into someone that has a Minnesota DNR water quality certification for farms.
Nice.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I just think that's so cool. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about debt. Remember when we were talking about money at the beginning? Well, apparently one of the ways that the government is trying to fix the farming crisis is by helping farmers have more debt.
Oh, access to credit.
Guaranteed operating loans to $3 million and guaranteed farm ownership loans to $3.5 million. There are a lot of details in here that matter that I don't have. But I think more debt, basically they are incentivizing with more debt, more scale. They're saying, well, if they're able to get bigger, they'll be able to, not the direction we want to go. Now, it's the direction we want to go if we want to make sure that the food is as cheap as possible at the grocery store. But that is an unending beast until one person makes all the food in the United States and for the whatever cheapest price. Or really, if you want the cheapest price, probably three. Three people produce all the food in the United States. And that is definitely not the direction we want to go. So I don't want to race to the bottom of that. That's how I feel about the debt. What do you guys think?
I'm making a face. You guys can't see it, but I'm making a face.
Yeah, really sorry about no YouTube. We got back from Pheasant Fest late last night, and I forgot the cameras at my house. So no YouTube today.
This just doesn't.
His face
we're going
shows
the wrong direction.
It shows
it's just another step in the wrong direction. I mean, yeah, we're gonna get people access to more ground to be able to farm, but with margins the way they are, inputs the way they are, it doesn't make any sense for people to have more ground. This isn't a farming economy where we're going to have much forward movement. There's big changes that need to happen.
Yeah.
I see where they think it could be a good idea because you hear private lenders backing out of, especially smaller private lenders backing out of farm credit and that putting a squeeze on people. But like Judd said, it doesn't address the root cause. Just because you can still get an operating loan, it doesn't make what you're growing or how you're managing your operation profitable.
It's a Band-Aid on a scar.
Yeah. I would also like to bring up, we've done this before. We did it for college. And college went from something that was incredible that gave you 5 steps ahead in life to something that was pretty good that gave you 2 or 3 steps ahead of life. And I think those degrees are still there. Get a degree in engineering. There's a bunch of degrees where you still get 2 or 3 or you become a doctor, you get 6 steps ahead of life. That's awesome. But it also opened the door for degrees that gave you 3 steps behind in life, right? And I'm not pooping on people who get education in art. I think art's a cool thing to be educated in, but the price of an art degree inflated unbelievably because the colleges knew that the government was backing the loans. So there's a pretty good chance that this actually just inflates land prices.
Well, and if these lines of credit start getting out there, all you got to do is follow the money. I've heard a million people say that. Follow the money. Where is it going to end up? It's going to end up with John Deere. It's going to end up with Nutrien, all these other large
Koch
corporations.
Brothers,
Bayer.
Someplace all the other money ends up.
It's just more guaranteed money there.
More middleman.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, so, and then there's also a bill. The bill would establish a new pre-approval pilot program for farm ownership loans, which is different than the guaranteed farm ownership loans up to $3.5 million. But basically, it's like, my understanding is first-time home buyer, and they would help the new farmers compete with hedge funds. I don't understand the details on it.
Oh, for purchasing?
Yep, for purchasing.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So the next thing, well, I'm gonna leave this for last because it's probably the biggest deal. We'll skip down. There was no mention of year-round E15. gasoline. There was no mention of it, and that was like the big thing, that we were trying to push in Iowa. And if the Iowa Farm Bureau has anything to say about it, they'll get it added on there for the markup section. And that was kind of a big deal that farmers have been talking about it so much for the past few weeks, and that there was no mention of it, and it would help the farmers. But I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. What do you guys think?
I think it's a great time if that passes to open up a small engine shop or, boat engine repair shop or basically anything that ethanol is going to eat the fuel lines out of. So,
wow.
I think it's a temporary solution to a problem that is going to keep exacerbating. If we continue down this path with EVs, with stuff like that, and the press on corn keeps staying relatively negative in the health food sphere like it has been.
Yep.
I just don't see the long-term upside, but then again, I'm kind of looking to a crystal ball there, so who knows?
You know us, predictors of the future.
Yeah. And I want everybody to know, I'm not sure if you know this, but just because that E85 or E15 is a lot cheaper, your mileage goes down commensurate with the price. You're not getting 15, 16, 20, 30 miles a gallon, whatever your car gets for that same amount of ethanol added gas.
Well, and you need to look at percentage. So if your miles per gallon goes down by 3 miles per gallon, and
it's basically money even up is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, but honestly, I haven't done any sort of study on it, or any sort of looking into it.
When I got my truck, it has that E85 capability, and I went to some pretty great lengths to stretch my brain and think I was doing better, but I was spending the same money for the same mileage. Is what it comes down
crazy.
to. Yeah,
that is crazy, and ruining your fuel lines.
Filling up more and paying less.
Yep. It's like driving one of those Jeep Commanders, I think, that has a 6-gallon gas tank, or maybe that's
or like eating ramen every day and then having giant medical bills in your 40s.
Yeah. Very similar.
The last thing, $11 billion. We talked about this. It's a payout from the Trump administration trying to help put a Band-Aid on our issues. February 23rd, the enrollment period opened. So you can go to USDA or login.gov. All right. So the main thing, this is very interesting. Expanding the RNGR, also pronounced as Ranger Act, is good news for the native seed industry and the forestry. Basically, forestry was kind of everything we do and any grants or anything. And actually, we've never applied for and or gotten a grant. I've been trying to look into it to see if it's worthwhile. But anything you see with those are kind of under forestry acts. But now they are basically making it a little more robust in a way that they specifically cite genetic resources for native seed. So I think more, I don't know if it'll be grants or if they'll have loans for people wanting to start this. I am very curious. It is in section 8305 of this bill. So if you're wanting to look at the exact language, it's going into markup phase. So this is a pretty good time to email specifically your House of Representatives to let them know, hey, this is coming down the pipeline. It matters to me.
Yep.
But again, anytime government money flows out of government hands, there are people and organizations that are outsourced or that are out proportionally better at collecting it.
Yep.
Really good at collecting,
Yep.
And, basically whoever shows up with the biggest basket, not even necessarily doing the most work.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about this on the nonprofit. For us, can go one of two ways. Sometimes I connect with nonprofits. I'm like, this is not useful. I don't know what grant money you're eating up, but should be given elsewhere. And other times you connect with nonprofits and it's like, wow, you are unbelievably useful. You are hitting way out of your weight class here. Like, oh man, the Iowa Sportsman Club on their website have a weekly update on bills that they are for, against, or monitoring at that. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's so good. I don't know. And I understand that there's a small amount of resources out there, finite amount of resources out there between different nonprofits. But I just like, I don't know. Sometimes you hang out with nonprofits and you're like, you're hitting it out of the park. And other times you're like,
So what specifically are they doing? They're doing like genetic stuff, research and things?
Well, that's just one of the things.
Okay.
Nurseries, they want to put money into nurseries
Okay.
and reforestation. So obviously trees, not as much of what we deal with here. Judd, you hang out with trees all the time.
A little bit.
But Judd actually lives in a tree.
I do.
He just sleeps in a tree.
Little known fact.
But of the three big things were the reforestation, the nursery part of it, and the genetic resources program.
If I know we're not in forestry, but I've seen this happen in other countries. If you're going to be contacting a rep about reforestation, because if that's your interest, I assume there will be a lot of interest. There's a lot of media buzz on it, putting trees back in stuff and shelter belts and things. Don't forget to mention that there needs to be diversity. There's
That's
headlines coming out of some of these larger tree planting experiments that have shown that, we're using 2 types of trees. And, you get 10 years into a project like that, and all of a sudden you have something like the emerald ash borer or some sort of fungus.
Bug and blight buffet is what you just created.
Yeah, you're making a big meal bar.
What's a really diverse acre of prairie has like 70, 100 species. That would be like, wow, that's really good. What's a diverse 100-acre woodland? Like where Winnie the Poohs live in. How many different kinds of trees are you hoping to see in there?
As many as you can get from the state nursery, I guess.
Yeah.
How many is that? Is that 10 or is it 50?
The more the better.
Okay.
Yeah.
The more the better. I mean, several different kinds of oaks, a few different kinds of maples if they work for you, hickories, just all, everything.
Okay.
Everything you could possibly get, regardless of market value, because I believe I heard right now walnut just went in the tank. So that's not the cash cow it was. Chinese stopped having so much interest in it. This is anecdotal. This comes to me through other wood people that are,
Not
talking about this sort of things. They're not as interested in harvesting that walnut. Oak is still pretty hot, and oak's only probably going to get hotter because the blight that's knocking out all the bigger trees.
Interesting.
So,
well, wouldn't the blight knocking out the bigger trees mean that more get logged?
potentially.
Okay.
We're just not having the regeneration. It's a really dangerous time for oak trees right now.
Yeah. Well, and that's a big part of TSI, right? Because oaks just can't grow in that obscene undergrowth.
Yeah, you just want to release those oak crowns whenever possible. Chemical application in those instances is not recommended. I just want to say that. You know, if you can cut the tree down or girdle it without applying some sort of herbicide with soil activity, that's the best thing to do. So take care of your oak trees. Just go down and cut down all the crappy little things growing up underneath them. Release that crown. Let them do whatever they can do, and hopefully they don't have that root rot that's going to have them tipping over pretty quick.
Do you, when you're taking care of small scrub trees, if you're like hacking squirting them, are you using like Garlon or something like that, or?
I'm not spraying stuff. I mop on triclopyr, but I don't want that to get on the ground. I just want basal bark. I don't do too much hack and squirt. I haven't had very good luck at it, and I'm not saying other people won't, but it's a timing related thing. You can be a lot more precise by daubing on your herbicide and control where it's going. I have sprayed to do basal bark, and I ended up killing a little square foot patch right at the base of those honeysuckles, and I would rather not do that if I can avoid it.
Yeah.
Man, the diversity of woodlands kind of interesting. Like the jungle, it's technically more diverse than prairies, but per acre it doesn't even come close.
Yep.
Right. And I understand that each plant takes up more, more square footage or more volume, so it doesn't have as much room. But the forested areas, like I walk into a woodland area and I have no idea if I'm looking at something good or bad.
Yep.
They're trees.
Yeah,
he says
they're growing up.
One's tall, one's short.
I will say I can't let this slide. If you're going to go in and you're going to do any sort of TSI or you're going to do any invasive removal, make sure you manage those invasives before you start opening up that canopy. If it's a closed canopy forest, because otherwise they're going to explode and you're going to have a real problem.
You're giving them all kinds of light.
Yeah. Well, and get some goats on there. If you get rid of your buckthorn or honeysuckle, give us a call. We got some mixes that we're working on. We're trying to experiment with what kind of seeding, native seeding, kind of helps keep mitigated that new tree growth mitigated.
Yep.
For but
will still act as a nurse crop for other native stuff.
Yep, exactly.
The wild rice, I had actually read something that and then anecdotally, the week after I read that, I went into somebody's CRP planting right by kind of a little grove of trees, and there it was, Virginia wild rice staring me in the face.
Yep.
Man, yeah,
So-
silky wild rye, Canada wild rye, Virginia wild, we got all of them. You give us a call. Bottle brush, which is an elemis, but it's not called wild rye.
Yeah.
It's a pretty one. It's a different one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope this filled you in. Obviously, the Farm Bill is not promised, and who knows what could happen. Everything over there seems to be changing by the day. I can't tell. I literally have no idea what's going on over there, except that there is talk and rumblings, and an 800-page document on the Farm Bill was typed out by someone or something.
Some poor intern.
Proposed, so they're supposed to be going into market phase. Good time to email your people. Also, if you need some natives, shoot us a call, HokseyNativeSeeds.com. If you need, I'll give you Judd's personal address. You can show up at his house.
Yep, sure can.
Don't forget our auction. If you are listening to this Wednesday morning at 10 a.m.
You got till 10:15.
10:15
Yeah, you
a.m.
better try and
get a
register.
deal.
Yeah.
You better DPA auctions. And then, of course, we've got, honestly, in my opinion, some of the better stuff.
Coming
The
around,
native
though.
cedars we talked about, those are all March 10th. March 10th and 11th. So
There's a brand new one out there with a DPA tag on it, so you guys better.
yeah, real
Better pay
handy,
attention to
real
that.
nice one.
Yep.
We really, really appreciate you all, and we loved hanging out with you at Pheasant Fest.
Stay tuned for Kent's retaliation next week.
We'll talk to you again next time.